Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you're a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Sacoccio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Child Care Director's Chair.
Hey guys, it's Erica here with the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. And I missed you. I don't know if you missed me too, but I have not been on for a couple of days, which I never ever missed. But as you know, last week I was in Tennessee and then I ended up with a cold. So here we are. And I'm so excited because I brought some friends from Tennessee back to the podcast with me. So before we get into that though, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever wished you could capture the magic happening in your child care center every single day? You know, the laughter, the learning, all the little things, the things that we sometimes don't have enough time to look at, all those little breakthroughs without relying on your luck or your memory. And gosh, at 55, my memory is not so great. So today we are talking with Kevin and Prissa. Probably didn't say that correctly, but she can fix it for me, from Watch Me Grow. It is an AI camera system that doesn't just watch your classrooms, it celebrates them. Unlike traditional cameras that only capture safety and compliance, this system highlights the meaningful interactions between teachers and children, giving directors insight, support, and a way to celebrate the incredible learning happening in their centers every single day. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. So before we hop into the system, tell folks a little bit about yourself. We'll start with you. Is somebody saying that right? Prissa?
It's Parisa, like Teresa with a P.
Parisa. Gotcha. Parisa. Okay. We're going to start with you.
Thanks. I have been with Watch Me Grow for a couple of years as their CMO. And before that, I was fractional with this company, but I come from the business side of education. I've been in some enterprise leading ECE brands, some franchise organizations, supporting them in lead generation. If you want to get your phones to ring, that was my job for a lot of years. And I know this year it's harder than ever to get that phone to ring. And now I am working on this idea that in early learning, it is one of the most invisible jobs that I can think of right now. It's incredibly critical. 95% of a child's brain is formed before they're 5. And so we're giving this workforce of almost 2 million people just in the US alone this incredible responsibility, a lot of training. They're professionals, and yet there's really no way to see what good work they do. And we know the biggest problem in ECE is hiring, recruiting, retention. It's a physically laborious job. It's emotionally draining. And our mission is to put a spotlight on the good work that these teachers do in the classroom so that the invisible work can become visible.
Okay. And what about you, Kevin?
Yeah, so I've been with Watch Me Grow almost a year coming up here, actually. So I've been in the ECE world for about 5 years now. So I was working with a company that was a child care management platform and joined the Watch Me Grow team last year, and could not be happier to be joining such a wonderful team, supportive team, and doing really good things for the ECE world. So I'm very much a pro teacher. My family is several teachers, and more importantly, my wife is actual teacher. So, very involved and really support those folks. So I'm happy to, contribute on my end to bettering the community. So excited to be here.
Love it. So let's get into it a little bit. Can you tell us what inspired Watch Me Grow and how the system is different from cameras that most child care centers use?
Yeah, so the platform that we've built is purpose-built for early learning. It is not this closed surveillance kind of the ubiquitous camera systems that you see, which are built for warehouses and assembly lines and retail or gas stations. This is built for schools that have classrooms with a lot of chaos, the best kind of chaos. It's built for the common areas, cafeterias, hallways, lobbies, playgrounds, where we know there's a lot of risk for injury and oversight. So it's built for ECE, and it's built securely to protect privacy of children and teachers, which is paramount. And it's built for the idea that families want connection and want to be able to check in and get a glimpse of what their kids are doing during the day. And it gives them that with full control on policies for all of the school leaders, so that you don't have to worry about, hovering moms and dads and grandparents calling in every couple of minutes with things that maybe aren't urgent and can wait until pickup time later.
Yeah. We had talked a little bit about this when we had brought cameras into our school, and our teachers were not really thrilled at the beginning, but do love them now. There's like this feeling of like, oh, we're going to be under surveillance all the time. And, so how does your system support teachers instead of making them feel monitored? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. You're right. Teachers are burnt out, and this could, the idea is, what if this pushes them over the edge? And the fact is that recognition of their good work is this research-proven antidote to burnout. Using video for coaching and just I saw what you did a great job, helps teachers feel supported and celebrated rather than judged. And the customers, we have 4,500 centers across the country that use our product, and the customers that use it say over and over again, teachers are grateful to have these moments where they're recognized, because as a director, you can't see everything that's happening all the time.
Yeah. Your AI, when you guys talked about a little bit about this, talk about how you created this, because I know that there was a partnership there. So talk a little bit about how the AI was created for your system.
Yeah, AI is the buzzword of the last 3 years, and we realized really quickly that you can't put a team of engineers into a room and say, use computer vision and machine learning to make the daily life of a preschool teacher and director better if they've never stepped foot into a classroom and don't understand the context of what they're looking at. So we assembled a group of 15 experienced directors, teachers, curriculum writers, coaches, licensing agents, and put them on a machine learning advisory board where we said, what should we measure using machine learning? What shouldn't we? What things that are on video require context, and we shouldn't rely on an algorithm to determine what that moment means? And how do we make this better for your life in the classroom and in the director's office? And they're the ones who set the guardrails and then actually looked at video from classrooms, always with permission, and labeled the videos and are helping to train the algorithm that we're using now so that it's real world, real help without crossing the boundaries into things that we should always leave to experienced professionals in early learning.
Humans, yeah. For directors, what insights or benefits does your system provide that go beyond just observation?
Yeah, I can take that one. I think when we go back to the why you're putting cameras, or you hear the word camera, there's a little hesitation of, or the, I got you moment. But what I love what Watch Me Grow is doing is going above and beyond that, and having the opportunity to be on this podcast to kind of tell the community that it's so much more than just cameras. I think it's super important to be able to, when you are installing or have cameras, new employees coming through, is just to educate them on the why you have them, why you're doing this, why you're, recording this footage. But what it can provide directors, again, is an extra set of eyes. The director has so many things going on, wearing so many hats. Every day is a different day. But knowing that you have that backup of the Watch Me Grow platform and the tools that we're providing, ECE, I think that's hugely beneficial to the directors. Again, if something should happen or did happen, they need to go back and look. Again, they have Watch Me Grow in the background for support. So again, giving them an extra set of eyes, giving them insights to maybe they didn't catch something if they tried it 5 other times. Again, what these cameras are going to pick up that maybe they're not going to catch, right away. So I think there's a lot of benefits to that and a lot of tools and resources that can provide directors, again, if they understand why they're using it.
Yeah. I feel like as a coach, I coach so many of my teams and those outside of my program, but as a coach, I feel like, when you hear the word or the name, Watch Me Grow, you instinctively think about it's to watch the kids grow. But really, we had joked around when we had testing. I'm like, I also can see it as a way to watch your staff grow. Like, even if you look at like progress from month over month, especially if there are some strategies that they're struggling with, and then you see a few months later that now they're not having those same challenges, I feel like that would feel really good for them. And for me as their mentor, I think it's a great way to really use that as part of your onboarding as well, and almost a benefit to, especially those that are new in the field, who are just, starting out, trying to understand, like, there's so much to know in our field and it changes. So, it's always a moving target, right? Best practice changes every 4 to 5 years, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, when you said coaching, and I love that word, I coach my son's hockey teams, and that's what I do in my spare time is sit at an ice rink. But I love the coaching aspect of what we can provide in the tool because, again, it's coming through an onboarding or using a video that was from a particular teacher's classroom as a best practice. That's what I think will allow these centers and directors to start utilizing of, let me highlight a really effective way to present a lesson to toddlers, work with, your preschoolers. Again, being able to come into a staff meeting and you're being a footage of yourself is being used as a best practice. And I think that's what we need more of. And I think that's what you can get more out of with Watch Me Grow is, again, maybe those teachable moments of, I watched you last week. You did really well. This is something I think we can improve on. And then a couple of weeks later saying, you did just that. You improved and we saw it. So I think that's a different way directors can start utilizing that video.
Yeah. I'm going to say something else too, because I really love leadership. I feel like when we are reflective in our practice, it isn't just watching the teachers. It's also great for you to use as the person who's leading your program. Can you really see how often are you visiting classrooms? How are you leading? What are you doing in the program as well? And I think being connected with your people is so important. And that, can capture to like, I noticed I haven't visited the infant room in the last 2.5 weeks, right? So I think it also can help you become a better leader when we're being reflective and looking at what our role is and how frequently are we connecting with our customers on the floor or our teachers or even our children in the classroom. And I love celebrating, all those wonderful moments with kids and families. So your camera integrates with some of the parenting platforms.
Yes, we integrate with some of the childcare management system platforms. Right now, we integrate with family.co, which does everything from CRM to check-in, check-out of children from the school to classrooms. It also does tuition management. So that integration means that there's much less administrative work for a director. If one of our customers uses Family, and they share video access with their enrolled families, it means that if I send my daughter in during the day, she only has access to cameras in the spaces where she is physically present and on the days that she's at school, without the director having to move that access around or schedule it. So if she's out sick today, I don't get to log in and see. If she's moving from one classroom to another because of after-school care or consolidated breaks, I don't get access to her former classroom, but where she is right now.
Okay, I love that. So what's one tip you would give childcare directors who are curious but hesitant about implementing this kind of technology?
Here's one tip, and it comes from The first job I ever had out of undergrad was I was a substitute teacher. And I had a really fantastic experience only because I was lucky enough on the first day I had a kindergarten class and I knew zero about what I was doing. They were wild. They were wild in that room. I could not get them to sit down on the carpet for morning circle. And one kind teacher saw me struggling, popped her head into the classroom and just very quietly said, "I love the way that Stephanie is sitting in circle with her hands in her lap. Oh, Devin, look at what a great job you're doing coming to circle this morning." It changed everything. I mean, the kids were mesmerized by it. They were completely responsive, and I learned something in that moment. If I was a new teacher and I had access to a clip of that as part of my onboarding, that would make all the difference in the experience I had my first few weeks with you. Imagine having clips of teachers doing these little effective, experience-driven classroom management techniques that you can show to all of your new hires so that it gives them a leg up as they come in.
Yeah, I think that's a great use of the tool. Let me ask you this, because as you guys know, I just recently adopted a child. And so my question is about maybe privacy and consent. So how does your system handle privacy and consent in classrooms while still capturing those meaningful moments?
Yeah, that's really important. So there's two answers to that question. First, the answer for you as an operator, as a director. And that is when you choose this software, any camera software, there are some critical cyber safety questions that you need to ask. One, is your data encrypted? How are you proving that it is? Do you have a third party who's doing what engineers call penetration testing, which just means can the video be hacked from somebody who's unauthorized? If those answers are not clear and simple, do not use this system in your school. The privacy of your students and teachers is too important. The answer to those questions for Watch Me Grow is yes and yes. We are on our way to being SOC 2 compliant this year, and we follow GDPR rules of Europe and now here. The video streams live on-prem at your school. So there's a server that's installed. The video lives on the server. Your 2 to 6 weeks of video history does not live on the cloud. You have the ability to save clips. And when you do save clips, usually it's for an important reason. It's an injury or an incident or something that you need to have for training purposes later. That all lives and is securely stored with AWS, which is the world's largest and most secure cloud storage solution that we use. That all comes with this product. All of our customers have privacy language and consent language in their enrollment agreements so that you know if you're enrolling your child in a school that uses this, you know that you're giving consent to be recorded. There are terms of use for families who are streaming so that they don't take screenshots or screen records, and the iOS and Google apps actually prevent that from happening. And you as an operator, if there's a family who might be taking screenshots, you get notified that they've tried to, and you can have a conversation with them or suspend their service. We give you full control.
That's great. All right. So you may or may not be able to answer this one. This could go to either one of you, but can you off the top of your head share a real example of a moment that your system captured, something that really surprised or inspired a teacher or director? I know you're not.
Kevin, what do you think? I think we have some.
I just wasn't sure if anybody ever shared like something that was like a really like, wow.
Yeah. Aside from the warm and fuzzies, we work with this product every day, and it's pretty astounding the things that we see. Like there's a 1-year-old who's playing telephone, and she hands the telephone to the teacher, and the teacher is like, "Of course, if you're handed a phone, you better answer it. You were going to answer it, and if you don't, there's something wrong." But the operational story that comes to mind is there's a classroom of 2-year-olds, 2 and 3-year-olds who are kind of at that toilet training age. And the teacher it's an L-shaped classroom. The teacher is in the bathroom helping a child. There are 4 other children out in the main area of the classroom, all gathered around an iPad within the line of sight of the teacher. As we're reviewing this clip with an operations person from their corporate office, immediately she says, oh, I need to have a conversation with this teacher because we have a strict no screens policy in the classroom for the kids. And I see that they're all surrounding this iPad. When we looked at it more closely, it was a strategy, the only strategy that teacher could employ so that she could have a line of sight to those 4 children while she's helping the 5th child in the bathroom, was to get them to stay out of a blind spot of the classroom around this iPad. So just 30 seconds of watching this video, and this leader realized this is not a device problem. This teacher is not flying in the face of our no screens policy. She is trying to be actively supervising all of the children in her care while still tending to the needs of one of them that she has to do all on her own. So the solution to this is not talking to the teacher about screen policy. The solution is, how do we make this better for her so that she either has an extra set of eyes or rearranging of the furniture or some kind of operational change to make that situation better.
Yeah, we all have one of those classrooms. So I've got one of those too. One of those that L-shaped room. As we start to wrap up, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners that I didn't ask you?
Okay. Can I go back to that with being with a customer and observing?
Sure.
One thing I wanted to add is I actually visited a multi-location here in Buffalo when I first started out with Watch Me Grow. And what was really amazing was when you walk into the front lobby, there were several TVs that were displaying the Watch Me Grow cameras. And there was a room off to the side that was, where coffee, almost like kind of like a snack area, lobby, waiting room. And the executive director and I went in there and I was just doing some, customer service, being local. And what was nice is having the executive director really just walk me through, like, this is why we use Watch Me Grow. And having those displayed this is our moment to say, this is us. This is our center. These are our teachers. And when new families are coming in to take a tour, we want them to see this.
Yeah.
It shows them that we have nothing to hide. I thought that was pretty cool, that it wasn't hey, we're watching all these cameras to see if something should go wrong. They were celebrating their teachers and their staff. So I thought that was a really good use of the cameras. But go back to your other question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it is a great tool to, again, help grow your team, to give that transparency to families, to a way to recognize your staff, and certainly make your job a little bit easier as well as an administrator.
So one of the questions we get a lot is isn't this a nice to have? This isn't a must have. And we're really focused on 3 things that are all must haves in the business that you're in. Enrollment is a must have. Retention of those families that you worked really hard to enroll, and compliance, because this is safety and compliance is critical. So, if there's a licensing investigation because there's an unsupervised child on the playground, that can cost you at minimum 10, 15, maybe 20 hours of your time as a director or more. That is a huge price and an opportunity cost lost. One single teacher turns over and resigns. It costs about, on average, $2,500 Indeed ads, training, onboarding to replace that one teacher. And the kind of hidden cost of teacher attrition is when a teacher resigns, it is very often this decision point where a family disenrolls. I'm really attached to this teacher. If she's gone, I'm going to start looking elsewhere and may not even give you the chance to replace her and keep me as a customer. And then, of course, in a year where we know leads are down this year, so every tour that comes through, we are working 10 times harder to keep them, to get them to convert into an enrollment. And when you have a differentiator like you can check in anytime you want to catch a glimpse of your child in care, that's like instant trust right in the lobby. So let's call this what it is. This is business critical. The ECE industry as a business is resetting. This year, we are in high competition. There are lots of markets where there is more competition, for every seat that's open. And this is a business critical tool, not a nice to have.
Yeah. I almost think too, insurance, right? Because our insurance now is factored in on our compliance visits and how many, violations that you have or don't have. So yeah, I think it's another great way to maybe talk with your insurance agent too about, the safety precautions that you have put in place to mitigate risk as well. So I think there's just so many things to really look at when you think about it. So one of the funny things I want to say is this episode is proudly brought to you by our friends at Watch Me Grow, our AI camera system that helps directly support teachers and celebrate learning and all the great things that are going on at your school. They're not just innovating in classrooms, they're also a proud sponsor of our awards night. The crowd goes wild at the Early Education Empowerment Conference. So I do want to say thank you guys so much for that. If you don't have your tickets yet, you can grab them now, May 7th through the 9th at the Crown Plaza in Warwick, Rhode Island. Of course, we'll have the link for the tickets below if you haven't grabbed your tickets yet, but you want to be there for sure. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. To the directors that are listening, if you want to see Watch Me Grow in action, learn how it can help you, train, support, and celebrate your teachers every day, visit them at watchmegrow.com. I guess, is that the link? Watchmegrow.com. Look at that, I got it right. We'll put the link in the show notes as well. Thank you guys so much for being great guests, and I hope you have a great day. And everybody's tuned in. You have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to the Child Care Directors Chair podcast.
Thanks for having us. See you.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Child Care Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Sacoscio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.